This is Rudo Radio coming to you from the 559.
Hello and welcome to Rudo Radio, SB Nation and Cage Side Seats weekly wrestling podcast. I am joined as ever by Mr. Mark Normandin. Mark, how are you?
What was so funny, Nick?
I got it. I got every single word.
Did you? And then you started laughing mid.
Yeah, well, you get excited. It's kind of like when you smile and you lift your hands up and the race isn't over, and then some guy zooms past you and your heart breaks a little.
Someday I'll answer the question of how I'm doing again, but
not anytime soon. Not until I get the intro right. Is that the carrot and the stick?
Well, I don't want to make it impossible for you.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So a lot of things were shook up in the Superstar Shakeup. See what I did there? Did you like it?
I didn't.
Why not?
Get it. I don't get it.
See, they said Superstar Shakeup a lot. That was what the joke was.
Oh, I get it now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right, sorry, I was... it's way behind. Maybe I got a little shook up.
I hate you so much. I was actually at the Raw, the first night of the Superstar Shakeup. I went with my dad for his birthday, because it's in like 2 weeks, and the show was there, so we went, and I'll tell you what, that Braun Strowman segment was the most over thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life.
It was amazing. It was so amazing. I saw people complaining about it, being like, obviously he didn't lift the ambulance by himself.
Who gives a shit?
It's stupid stuff. It's like, who gives a fuck? I know. That shit was awesome. That was a great visual.
He turned over an ambulance.
It was awesome before the ambulance.
Like that was the thing. Yeah.
He just picked him up and threw him into like the catering table, and like a styrofoam tray of like fucking meatballs or whatever landed on Roman Reigns' face. That was great. And then he's slamming it around, just like dragging him on different shit and hitting him on things. And I'm like, this is also great. And when he randomly comes back out and pushes the gurney off of the loading dock, like that should have been the end of any logical statement. That was so amazing. It's like, oh my god, Roman Reigns is dead. He's dead. He should be put in like a neck brace and carted off into an ambulance. And you know, that's pretty much what they did. And then Braun's like, I'm going to punch him inside an ambulance. And then, for added effect, I'm going to flip over the ambulance.
Just to prove I mean business. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that crowd loved every second of it. Even the kids who liked Roman were just aghast at what Braun Strowman was doing. Like, they were losing their minds. At some point, people just started chanting, "Thank you, Strowman," at random times during the rest of the show. And it was like, if he would have come out, the lid would have blown off of the arena, which was very nice. It is the nicest it's ever been. They completely redid the inside. It's so much better.
Where was it?
The Nassau Coliseum, which used to be the dump to end all dumps, and is now actually like a really nice looking arena with a really nice inside. But yeah, it was...
You gotta keep up with Barclays, you know.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And yeah, that was incredibly over. The Superstar Shakeups themselves...
1 second. The only disappointment I had about the Braun Strowman thing was that they didn't then cut to him at a hospital attacking Roman Reigns. It's the only...
that has to be next week.
And that's the only thing, is that he didn't, like, follow in a car, tip the ambulance back over, and follow it, bring it to the hospital.
I think he could have just walked to the hospital. What, it would take him 10 steps? Come on, he's a monster attacking a city.
That would have been great, though, if he just, I don't know, they just faked him throwing Roman Reigns out a window in a hospital or something.
Oh, man. Well, they might. There's still time. There's still time until the pay-per-view. Yeah, that was one of the most incredible segments I've ever seen. Both, because I rewatched Raw the next day to hear the commentary and everything like that. And yeah, that was just the most over thing I can remember seeing. It was incredible. It was such a great segment. It had all of the good parts of like the reality era and the Attitude Era together in one. And I just feel like Braun Strowman has to come out of this as like the biggest deal since like Brock Lesnar.
He needs to win it. Like, and I don't say that as a Roman Reigns needs to lose more often kind of thing. It's just like, yo, Strowman should win this feud.
Yeah, he's super over. Like, and like I was saying, that was unequivocally and understandably the most over thing of the night. But outside of that, I think there was a lot of big pops, but I think they kind of hurt themselves by faking John Cena coming out because the crowd was really unhappy/happy about that. We got the John Cena sucks chant, and then they realized it was The Miz, and it kind of took some of the air out of the building.
Oh, I don't know. It sounded fine on television, like the rest of the night.
Oh, okay, it did. Oh, cool.
You were too self-conscious about your crowd. Yeah, and I didn't notice anything wrong with the crowd the whole time. The like superstars who came over who you didn't expect a big pop for are pretty much the ones you didn't expect a big pop for. So
Alexa, everyone got really excited.
Yeah, that was the loudest one. That was
huge.
That was the loudest one total, I think. Like,
yeah.
It was I mean, this is great. Alexa gets the biggest pop of anyone switching. Charlotte is declared the most significant acquisition of the entire thing. That's pretty cool. Yes. You know, you've got the actual loudest, most significant reaction, and then you've got being told that this person is, and they're both from the women's division. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, and everybody I was around was really excited that Alexa was on the show now. Like, I did not expect her to be as over with everybody as she is. Like, I thought she was more of like a wrestling nerd kind of character that people were into, because she's just so awesome at being a bad guy. But I guess that, like, she's unbelievable.
Well, I love Sasha, I love Nia, I love Charlotte, I love Bayley. The only one who sounds like a human being out of like that whole group is Alexa.
Yeah.
So
I also like the idea of Nia and Alexa being best friends or like partners in crime. That's the best idea ever.
Yeah, it's just Alexa. I mean, Alexa knows. She knows. She was at NXT with Nia.
And I think that's an interesting dynamic relative to what was going on with Charlotte, where like Charlotte was keeping Nia at an arm's length, but also kind of cheap-shotting her when she could. And Alexa understands, like, you don't cheap-shot Nia. She will get you. You will get got. And Mickie James got so got, I can't even, like, I am so excited for Nia Jax in the newly configured women's division on Raw. Like, she really has a chance in a way that I feel like Charlotte was going to constantly block her. I feel like now she really has a chance to be, like, the biggest character on Raw in the women's division.
I mean, she beat Charlotte, on Charlotte's way out, which is not a small thing.
No, not at all.
Charlotte is, we've talked about it before, she's being positioned as the greatest woman WWE's ever had. And obviously not there yet in terms of, like, history and legacy and all that, just because of the amount of time it's been. But the fact we can plainly see it after she's been around for so relatively short a time. So, yeah, Nia Jax beating her clean. Well, except for dropping on her head.
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
It was brutal. And they need to work on... They got to figure out Charlotte's moonsault is amazing. They need to figure out the balance between... You moonsaulted them and hit them with your arm, and you kick Nia in the face, and then your face hit the ground.
Oof.
Like,
yeah, there was
somewhere in between.
They really roughed each other up during the match. When she kicked Nia into the turnbuckle, like, that was not nice. Like, that was a brutal match, and I would really like to see them work together again like that. Like, that lived up to a lot of expectations I had for that.
Well, you can't see them work again.
Oh.
That's the point of the shake-up, Nick.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we wouldn't know it because it made no narrative sense for 2 days.
Well, to me, it was kind of like watching a fantasy episode of a regular television show you watch, where, like...
But that's not...
Not in a good way. I'm just saying, that's what it reminded me of.
They should have really hit this hard with, like, the sports angle. Instead of just going for, like, we want to get the highest rating we can in these, like, just for Raw and SmackDown proper. they should have treated it like the draft, where they were like, okay, we got this pre-show and the post-show, and we're going to hit it on the website and on Twitter. And we're going to, just like make it this all-encompassing thing again that was really like sports. But instead they were like, let's not make trades. Let's just have random people show up. Never make it clear who's making the decisions about showing up. Like, you have AJ Styles.
That was the weirdest thing, yeah.
You have AJ Styles last week basically like begging to not move off of SmackDown. And then on Raw the next week, you have Seth Rollins going, fuck you guys, I'm staying here. So, like, who's in charge?
No one's in charge.
Yeah, it's just very
But
strange.
I think they're, and I talked to you about this after it happened, they're kind of going the complete opposite way from the Authority, it feels like, right now, where it's very, like, not hands-off. Like, Kurt Angle is an active GM, and he is doing, I think, a fantastic job so far. He doesn't want to play politics, Mark. I don't know if you knew that, but he doesn't.
What if he's
not here? He's not here to play politics.
What if he's just lulling everyone into a false sense of security?
I hope so, because I think they're consciously trying to get away from the meddling of the Authority figures, and I think they went too far the other way with it, and we're just like, who's making the decisions?
Well, moving Kevin Owens to SmackDown kind of it's not a bad thing that happened, but it like kills all those ideas of, oh, so we're making an Authority stable with Triple H around. It seems like Seth Rollins beat Triple H, and Triple H went, well, shit. It just backed off, and Stephanie's hurt, so she's not going to be around, and it's a strange place to be, but I wonder what happens when, Triple H does show back up. How many skulls will be on his shirt?
17, I would assume. That's so many skulls. That's the most you can legally fit on a shirt before it becomes a cemetery. That's a little known fact. What's weird for me with the Kevin Owens thing, or weird's not the right word, kinda pretty sneaky, sis, is that they're like, whoever wins the US title match at Payback is officially on SmackDown Live.
Okay, I mean, that is telegraphed. Is it more or less telegraphed than Brock Lesnar didn't go to SmackDown, but the WWE Championship is totally up for grabs at Payback?
It's so stupid. That's the problem with not having an Authority figure explain what's going on. It's just like, yeah, so he showed up. At least Daniel Bryan came out and had the decency to, like, explain some of the stipulations and, like, why they couldn't have a United States title match. But it almost feels like they had Kevin Owens come out and were like, well, what happens if the belt goes to Raw? Like, if Chris Jericho is like, they tried to get out of the narrative corner they had put themselves in, and then put themselves into a more explicit narrative corner. There was like, Kevin Owens is going to win, guys.
Yeah, I mean, at least it makes sense. So I'll be able to follow this, from start to finish. But, like, I still don't know why Dean Ambrose is on Raw. No one tried to explain this to me. Why did this guy just get to take the title and go to Raw?
Especially when they're not in the show explicit about the fact that SmackDown is kind of being treated as an incubator for Raw talent. At least that's what seems to be going on, is they'll, like, kind of push people up from SmackDown and leave good people, but, like, I don't want to say they're back burner stars, but if you look at the two lists, like, Kevin Owens, Charlotte, The New Day, which are all great, and then Rusev and Lana, who are two separate things now, Sami Zayn, the Shining Stars, who I don't know what was going on, but they forgot their shirts, apparently, and
they also
ran
into the ring. But
yeah, that's true.
If Usos reboot is any indication, I'm into the Shining Stars being like... So I saw a tweet from Brian Pickett about the Shining Stars that was perfect. So it's we're here to sell timeshares and kick ass, and we are all out of timeshares.
I love a good timeshare joke.
I think those dudes are talented.
No, really, I love a good timeshare. It's really good.
Those dudes are talented. They're former tag champs. SmackDown is essentially like the graduate school for NXT. People are going to go back there to figure something new out. People are going to go there to further their education. And whereas
some people feel like they're going to do some teaching too, like while they're there.
Yeah, like NXT gets the TNA guys. You know, they get Aries and Rude and shit, and Eric Young, and SmackDown goes, well, we get John Cena. It's a cool place to be in because it extends that NXT vibe that we all really love and loved more in the past. It just like extends the developmental kind of setup that they have going on at NXT, and I really like it. And it's different from Raw, which Raw is very clearly like, you are ready now, you are popular now, this is your peak now.
Yeah, everything feels so urgent on Raw. Like, this will be the last match in the history of wrestling, where SmackDown's kind of just into going with the flow of whatever gets over. But I guess my thing would be, what role do Sin Cara, Jinder Mahal, and can I just take a moment to put something aside? The introduction of Tamina was so mean.
It was kind of great, though. It was really mean.
It was fantastic.
It was way meaner to the
so
crowd.
mean. It was just like, oh, you're really excited, because it's not like they didn't introduce someone else the exact same way, and we're like, oh, that's the person you really wanted to see, right? They, like, if they didn't do that, they'd be fine, but they were, and then Shane was like, oh, you're not excited, are you? Well, here's someone you can get really excited about.
At least Tamina's a heel.
Oh, they would be, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but they wouldn't, I feel like even they wouldn't be dumb enough to be like, eat one of their baby faces like that.
Yeah.
On SmackDown, on Raw, who knows?
Can I just say, Shane McMahon needs to stay away from microphones unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
Just
Daniel Bryan works at the same show.
Dog shit segment that was.
Yeah, he's not good on the mic.
It was like, hey, hold on, I'm going to make an announcement that I don't need to make. We could do this some other way. Some other believable, more organic way. Instead of everybody stand in a line so I can call you one at a time, we can show off our now smaller women's division.
And it felt like a MC at like a Sweet 16 or something like that, where it's like, all right, you all stand here, and then the Sweet 16 girl is going to come out, and we're all going to stand around, and she's going to talk. Like, that's basically what it felt like.
Why couldn't we have just had Tamina break up a match with someone she's going to feud with? You know? And then it's like, oh shit, Tamina's back, and then Charlotte just kind of shows up in some, you know, you don't have to do it all at once. I don't know. With the men, they, sprinkled them out throughout the show and found all these other things to do. But with the women, it was, again, like that weirdness of like, okay, remember, none of you are individual performers. The SmackDown women are just a unit.
Yeah, I especially without Alexa Bliss, they're kind of, it feels like they didn't trade. It feels like SmackDown traded Charlotte Flair for Alexa Bliss to fill the same role where Alexa was sent to Raw to be like, I don't know, her own thing. Like, there wasn't like a role they needed her to fill. They were just like, Alexa Bliss is really good, let's have her on Raw.
I don't know. Charlotte's different than Alexa. Alexa really had to work. She proved herself on SmackDown, and that was even part of her story. Charlotte is established in a way that nobody besides Mickie James is established in WWE. And Mickie James, as exciting as that is, she doesn't necessarily get the same legend pop that like some of the people on the men's side do, just because of the nature of like the way WWE treated its women performers in the past. So I don't know. I think Charlotte is there for a different role, but it's also, yeah, like you said, it's clear that like she's taking that spot, even if it's not that job.
Where she's the mean queen, like literally queen heel. That is. I understand her gimmick, but I'm. Do you think there's any chance they make her some sort of babyface? Like do you think
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't. That would be sad. That would be the saddest shakeout from the superstar.
I also don't think it makes sense in the roster. Like who they have. They already have Becky and they have Naomi on the face side, and that's really all you need.
Oh, so Naomi burned James Ellsworth to the ground with that line. The your side piece, like telling Carmella to shut his side piece's mouth was really, really mean, and it made me afraid of Naomi in a way I hadn't been previously.
The segment should have been more of that than less Shane.
Yeah, like he just, there's no need for him on any level to be out there doing that. Oh God, sorry. I just knocked over Bret Hart. Bret Hart, sorry. I guess the one guy we didn't talk about that much, I think we kind of passed him over, was Sami. Sami's on SmackDown now, but it feels like it happened too late. Like,
No.
people were excited for him to get, like, traded. I feel like that him being a part of this superstar shakeup after he won 2 matches on Raw, it feels like he was building something on Raw, and they've shipped him off to SmackDown because he annoys Kurt Angle.
You didn't build shit on Raw before.
He had 2 wins in a row, Mark.
Oh my God. Be a winning streak soon.
Yeah, next week, if he would have won again. He probably wouldn't have won again, but if he won again.
It's okay. Guess what? He just got pinned by AJ Styles in the main event of SmackDown. And in SmackDown's decision to make the United States title more important than it's been since it got Alberto Del Rio all over it.
Yeah, it was a really weird way to prop up the United States belt, despite not knowing who the champion was going to be, but also being like Kevin Owens is going to be the champion. Yeah,
what was weird about it?
It felt like they wanted to start more of a feud between him and the other 3 people, and were literally stopped from doing it because he has to finish the Jericho one. That's what it felt like to me.
I don't know. It's a number 1 contenders match. That's not that weird.
But if wouldn't you also assume they would want a chance at the world title, given that it's probably still going to be on the show, and they're going to assume their guys?
Do you really want more Randy Orton on television?
That's fair. That's fair when you put it like that, where they're like, well, we had to put out one of them to do this talkie seg. Let's put out Kevin. Okay, no, you're totally right. That completely makes me think about it differently. They're like, no, Randy Orton, no, please don't. Like,
I like Randy, but I don't necessarily want to see him involved in a talking segment with those other dudes. Like, just it was cool that, like, Corbin, Zayn, and Styles all wanted the same title, and it's one that Kevin Owens holds. And it's nice that, they're taking the time to prop it up, because, man, the U.S. title, John Cena did so much work with that, and then WWE was like, instead of giving the rub to some up-and-comer, someone important and new, and, like, someone Cena can shake the hand of, and, like, this is the guy who finally beat me. This guy's awesome. You let fucking Del Rio win in a nothing match that nobody remembers, which is so hard.
I remember it.
Yeah,
because I bought the shirt during the match. That's how excited I was. Because Alberto Del Rio is my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, well,
I'm a monster on almost every level.
Yeah, we need to have a talk about Del Rio at some point.
He's gone off the deep end. He's went full Rondo. I can't condone that.
Man, though, like, Roman Reigns essentially had a Dean Ambrose in the Shield-esque run with it. Where it was like, oh, this whole thing? I forgot I had it. The only difference is that he didn't pretend it was his dick like Dean did.
Yeah, that was weird. He would just hang it. And it was like, he was parading it to be like, I don't even have to defend this. That's how over the Shield is.
Oh, man. It's just that, and Rusev did an admirable job with it, but it was always the specter of like, oh, he's going to lose it to Roman, hanging over it the entire time. And then got, Jericho and Owens, their feud was great. It was not about the belt, not even a little.
They barely acknowledged that they had it until it was like, hey, we have to have a match at WrestleMania. Let's make it about something. And it was like, but it was already about something. You didn't need to take the title off of Roman and then keep it on Jericho. So, the United States title is, I guess, going to be, are we assuming it's just going to be the number 1 title and, like, Bray's going to beat Randy?
No, absolutely not. My assumption is that this gives them something to do until Payback is resolved, and then we'll see actual things happen on SmackDown proper in their pay-per-view. But, like, since Randy's kind of tied up in that match with Bray that they had already committed to, it's almost like you shouldn't have booked matches right before your, giant superstar shakeup, but I don't know.
Or had rules that explained how it was going to work when you were making the decisions.
Hey, they had rules. They just signed off on them 30 seconds before the show aired.
Yeah. It was... After the draft, it was a real disappointment how they ran it out. But, like, at the same time, I don't think you have that Bray Wyatt moment with Finn, which was really cool. That I really liked how that came. Like, that looked awesome. That's a feud I'm excited about. And I don't like Finn, and I don't love Bray, but that combination, like, seeing Bray versus the Demon will actually be cooler than seeing Finn versus Bray, which may seem obvious from the... But, like, you don't think about it until you see him together, and he's like, oh, he's going to have to turn into the Demon to beat Bray, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but he turns into the Demon every major match he has.
Are you not excited about Bray and Finn?
I'm sorry, I watch WrestleMania.
Are you... But there could be, I don't know, maybe they're going to come out with super cool holograms and projections.
I'll be excited about Bray vs. Finn when we get through the House of Horrors match, and it is... I just want it to be a House of Horrors for the people performing in it and not for the people watching it.
I'm sorry, but that's definitely going to be the case.
The fact I wanted it to be on like a random episode of SmackDown, and I know it's not about like all just that I want. I wanted it to be on a random episode of SmackDown so they could do like the Wyatt compound thing right. And they could take the best parts of this feud and give people a reason to like watch on Tuesdays and really hype it up. Instead of making it a pay-per-view match that will have to be in front of an arena full of people that, you know, can't live up to the ideas they've created about Bray Wyatt's powers. If they had ever followed through on anything Bray Wyatt's done, I would probably be more excited about this. Because, man, I love watching Bray Wyatt wrestle. And I really loved the feud him and Orton had, like, up until the part where they actually, you know, fought.
Until they had the part where you actually have to get the story over in front of a crowd. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I can't be excited for Finn versus Bray yet, just because...
You've seen wrestling before?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how House of Horrors goes. But to answer your original question, I assume Randy retains, and then we will get AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Like, I don't think Styles is going to win the U.S. title, but I don't think he'll have to worry about it for too long. Like, the fact that Owen screws him out of it or whatever. Because he'll have a shot at the WWE title.
Yeah, he's very popular, and I'm very happy they kept him on SmackDown. I was legitimately nervous that they were going to not get rid of him, that's the wrong way to put it, but they were going to put him on Raw just because he seems like it seems like Vince really likes him, and Vince seems like he puts the people he really likes on Raw, and I really thought we were going to lose AJ, but I am disappointed that the club didn't come over. That seemed like it was going to happen.
Well, AJ's a face. You know, that doesn't... They're
just
work.
A couple of good brothers, man. They're just a couple of good brothers.
A couple of Chad Two Bads is what they are.
God, I love the 80s. Best time of my life. All 3 years of it, best time of my life. Do you have any hope for Apollo Crews? Because I don't have any hope for Apollo Crews?
Who's that?
He's named after Apollo Creed and Terry Crews because Vince.
I think Crews submitted that name.
Oh, he did? Oh, God, that makes it so much better.
Because I remember doing the same thing, and then it was like, he's like, those are two awesome... It's like, those are two awesome dudes. Why would I not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't have any hope for Kalisto or Kurt Hawkins, but were people...
No, Kalisto gets to go to Raw, the Cruiserweights, and all that happy shit.
I don't have a lot of hope for Kalisto.
I just assumed you meant Sin Cara.
Oh, Sin Cara. What are they going to do now that the Lucha Dragons? I had to think of their name.
He has new music and new gear, but they haven't debuted the music yet. I saw it at a house show.
Yeah, has he gone full Pentagon Junior?
I mean, his gear is like, it's like all black and actually kind of confusing. Because it was like, who the fuck is this guy, and why is he wearing like a lucha bodysuit? But I don't know. I mean, he's still probably going to slip on the ropes or some shit. It's so mean. Fault. The mask is cursed.
So he has to burn the mask.
Yeah, like
and then act like the fire was in his head the entire time, or is that?
Mask and also get one with eye holes.
It's without a face. You can't have a face.
No, those masks are tough to wrestle in.
Yeah, I would never do it for one.
For that reason, specifically, the mask.
So Miz and Maurice came to Raw, but I think the real pair that we're all excited about is Heath Slater and Rhino. How many? What?
No, I mean, SmackDown seemed like such a good place for him. I just hope that like Heath doesn't go back to being a total jobber.
He can buy an in-ground pool now. That's what Michael Cole said. Like, is the implication that they pay better on Raw? Like,
I don't know. I know if there were
you're on the big show now, kids. Like, because Michael Cole explicitly said, well, now he can buy an in-ground pool.
If the fucking shakeup made any goddamn narrative sense, then I'd be able to answer your question. But it doesn't. I don't know.
So, like, is it a demotion? I don't know. There's so many questions left unanswered, and not the good kind.
I don't know. The announce teams are all stands for their own show anyway, so whatever.
Well, Byron Saxton sounded real good on SmackDown.
Well, yeah, it's because Byron Saxton is good at this job.
But I feel like they let him not just be everyone's which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love Byron Saxton as a punching bag.
Oh,
but
he's a
also
great, like, straight man punching bag. He's so good at it.
Yeah, but he's also a very good commentator, and it's good to be able to hear him commentate. Because I like the dynamic with him and Corey, but I also am happy to see him be able to do other stuff.
One of my favorite Byron Saxton moments is after Brock Lesnar kills everyone. The Raw after WrestleMania, where he, like, F5s Michael Cole out of his shoe and throws a table on JBL and Booker T.
Because the Raw, folks, if you haven't seen it, go back to that Raw. Because when Mark says throws a table,
he literally
picks it up and throws it. Like, and not a table from under the ring, the entire announce table. He throws it on two people.
Yeah.
Like a car.
Like half of it is on JBL, who is like covered by a chair and broken in half. And man, it's so good. And then Byron's out. And Byron is like pretending to be terrible at his job, essentially. And I remember a lot of people complaining about it during that episode, but it's like, man, Byron's doing a great job. He's acting like someone who's, you know, he just watched all his friends get murdered. Yeah. Because that's what happened. All of his friends get carried off.
And then just random people at ringside were being beaten up by a half gorilla man.
Oh, that was so great. Seth Rollins running away was also amazing. Like, it's underrated and forgotten. But just that shitheel moment of Seth being like, I'll defend my title. Just not now. And then he tries to run away for like 2 minutes and almost gets caught repeatedly. And finally, J&J Security throw themselves at the mercy of Lesnar, which doesn't exist, by the way. But it gives Seth the half second he needs to speed off.
Oh God, it's
just so good.
God, that's one of the best segments ever. So yeah. And the New Day, I'm excited for, but they only have one person left in the New Day, so...
The others are dead. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to have the most success coming out of... explicitly out of the people who were switched?
Well, should I start on Raw?
Yeah, I mean, let's go overall. If you had to, like, presume who's going to be the most successful, not who's the best person picked up. Okay. But, like, who's going to do the best on their show? Who would it be?
Well, I think Rusev and Big E will both be able to get... I think they'll have legitimate chances at the WWE World Championship on SmackDown. And, like, they would never go near the Universal title on Raw. I just feel like that's the truth. You know, Sami Zayn's another guy like that. Pretty much, I don't know if there's anyone going to Raw who's going to do better than they were doing.
Not even Dean Ambrose?
I mean, Dean was WWE World Champion on SmackDown. Do you think he's going to beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title?
No, but I think he might beat Roman Reigns.
For what?
I think at that point they might decide that Roman Reigns is King Dick of Shit Mountain, and because here's why. Wait,
Dean Ambrose can't beat Roman Reigns.
Why?
Because he scissors and Roman is Rock.
Oh, I thought it was because Roman Reigns is dead. I thought it was because Braun Strowman literally murdered Roman Reigns.
No, it's because rock, paper, scissors rules, man. Dean beats Seth. Seth beats Roman. Right, yeah. Roman beats Dean. Come on, man.
No, you're right. When you're right, you're right. It's like 3 times where you brought me off the ledge. But I do feel like Dean... First of all, I think there's a decent-sized chance that they might reunite the Shield, which automatically makes him like a super god main eventer.
They just need something to reunite it against, which Owens going to SmackDown and Triple H vanishing kind of delays that, at least for now.
Do you think Bray Wyatt has any chance at the Universal title?
I don't know. Again, Brock Lesnar. First of all, Brock Lesnar can't lose the title if he doesn't show up until another show until fucking August. So, there's that right there.
Mark. I hate to correct you on your own show, but you have to defend the title within 30 days. It's a pretty ironclad rule.
You go tell Brock Lesnar that. Go ahead.
I don't work for the WWE. I don't. Why would I do that? Why would I put my... No, if I worked at the WWE, I would absolutely do that. It'd be my sworn duty as a part of the DX army to do that.
They should just have Kurt Hawkins go tell him, because...
Oh my god. Him getting punched in the face made everyone so happy. He also made it very clear he was not happy he was born on Long Island. Kurt Hawkins did. We did not take kindly to that. And we were glad he got his what for.
The dude wears Mets colors. So...
Those are Empire State colors, thank you very much. Because we're the Empire State.
Yeah.
And also the place where New York City is, mostly.
Yeah, what color is like Mike Piazza's number or whatever he has on his gear?
I don't know. I don't follow the baseballs.
No, sure you don't. To get back to answering your question, though, see, I feel like with SmackDown, you're gonna you're moving guys over to give them an opportunity, so like they kind of just slants that way for me anyway. So like Big E's not gonna win the Universal title. I don't even know if Big E would touch like the United States Championship, or it's still on Raw. But on SmackDown, I feel like he could win both of those things.
So I guess my question then becomes, has this officially made SmackDown the B show in a way that it hadn't been, it'd been like teetering before?
I don't think there's a B show.
But if they're taking all of the stars off of one of the shows and putting them on the other show and giving people like chances that they wouldn't have at the top on another show, like they're not demoting them, but it feels like, I guess it feels like demotion in the way that I think about baseball. Like, when you're in AAA, it's really great that you're the starting catcher now, but you're in AAA, you're not in the majors.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a B show. Ha, take that. Yeah, because they're making two very different kinds of programming. And that's really the difference. It's not an A and B kind of situation. Like, NXT is your B show, basically. Mm-hmm. These are just two variations on the same thing up top. And I think it's more that Raw's very set in its ways and how they're doing things and the time they're going to be able to fill and like what they're working on. And that's the show that's going to need to make room for, well, not an Undertaker anymore, but you know what I mean? That's your show with Goldberg and Lesnar. That's your show with this and like just the stuff that you don't see on SmackDown. So it doesn't necessarily make one show like bigger than the other show in anything other than one of them's 3 hours, but I don't know. SmackDown feels like the place where it's like, hey, we understand this guy's awesome, and we can't have him languish. So we want to make sure that he gets... It's not like gets his reps in like you would with the minors. It's we want to make sure this dude is a star, too. And this is the place where it's going to work.
I don't want to stretch this analogy too far, but it would be closer to like the AL and the NL, where it's like the NL isn't worse, but they do score less runs?
You're stretching it too far.
Okay.
It's been stretched.
But just a little bit farther. Maybe I could get it into like the women's division is the AL East, right?
Okay, stop the analogy. Raw has to fit the cruiserweights, and they fit like Goldberg, Lesnar, all that shit. They also have their standard, 45-minute Triple H promos and shit. So. Like, that's where all that time is going. Raw has a pretty set schedule. And, like, how much did Raw change after the brand split?
Not at all, even a little bit.
It was the same show with the same central figures, except for the ones who went to SmackDown, right?
Whereas and Mick Foley was also there.
SmackDown became a completely different show. And, like, yes, the ratings are lower than Raw.
But not that much, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the difference isn't so severe. You know, this isn't the NFL and, like, the AFL. Or the Arena Football League, not AFL. Right? Football. It's not like that. These aren't two, like, super disparate entities. These are two shows that are pretty close together, and weird, the one that caters more to, like, hardcore wrestling fans has a slightly smaller rating. That's pretty much it. And it kind of ties into that, like, NXT was beloved by who? You know? The more hardcore fan, the people who want to watch a lot of wrestling, and now, like, SmackDown is like, hey, this is your in-between for these things. And I just don't really believe that it's the B show in the way, like, in the negative sense of it. So
it's an alternate reality show.
It's just another show. It's the one where, like, you can imagine a fatal four-way for the WWE World Championship between Big E, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, and AJ Styles. And instead of going, what the hell is this reality I'm in? You're like, this is the dopest shit. This is great. I love this show.
So as long as they maintain this identity, you're fine with them every couple of months being kind of drained a little bit of talent and people moved on to the show.
I don't think it's going to be every couple of months. I mean, the draft feels more like they'll make a couple of switches, probably with stories they've managed to finish telling. That feels more like the time where they're going to be like, hey, NXT people, like, we're going to start calling you up. Especially since TakeOver Brooklyn, which is, you know, NXT's WrestleMania, is like a month later. So you'll know who's on the way up by then anyway.
So it won't be a situation where they're pulling people off of SmackDown to put them on Raw. You think only the superstar shakeups are going to be like that?
I think the shakeup is the big time. And again, who knows if they'll do that the way they did it, and they'll do it again next year at that time. But I'm totally fine with this. Like, yes, a couple stories get interrupted. The Randy Bray thing is really inconvenient on a number of levels. But overall, like, do we think SmackDown is worse off than it was before they started?
Can I be honest? Am I allowed to be honest?
No.
Oh yeah, then it's great. I'm super excited that.
No, what's your reservation here?
I'm really not that happy that The Miz and Maurice are off of SmackDown.
Okay, I think, but is the show worse with what they brought in?
I think part of what made SmackDown more enjoyable for me than Raw was having Daniel Bryan be on the show as an active GM, but not ruining people's lives to do it. Like, it was a fun dynamic on the show that I think added a lot to the show. It made his other decisions seem even more reasonable. So I'm worried that they'll lose that dynamic with him. So, like, I think it makes it slightly worse. I don't think it ruins the show, but I would have liked to have seen Miz and Maurice stay on the show, because I think their dynamic with one of the more important characters on the show, in terms of making it work, is lost. I think that made SmackDown worse, where everything else, like, if SmackDown was a 97 2 weeks ago, I think it's a 96 now, because they did a good job filling in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question I was asking was, do you think it's worse? Not how are they doing on how much Miz and Maurice?
Okay, then I do think it's worse, but it's marginally worse. And I think, because for me, the Miz Maurice, especially on Talking Smack, which to me I count as part of, that was a huge part of Talking Smack, and now that's gone. And I understand that's not SmackDown, but I do also like include that with the whole thing.
Okay, but Big E's gonna have a live mic on Talking Smack. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I love the Miz just screaming in Daniel Bryan's face about things.
My only counter to that is, as much as I love those Miz Daniel Bryan things, where were they ever going to go?
That's fair. I think they don't want to overdo it because there's no payoff. And if that's the case, then I just hope they get a replacement. Or have it be like Sami Zayn, where he's just so annoying that Daniel Bryan is wants to challenge him just to get him to go away. Like, I think I like Daniel Bryan as an on-screen character so much that I'm worried they're going to lose some of the magic they had with him because Miz and Maurice are gone. And to me, such an important part of what makes SmackDown SmackDown, that will like mess up what they have, which is like a pretty perfect alchemy of like what a modern WWE wrestling show should be.
Well, I'm happy. Let's see what Rusev does on a show like that. Let's see what Big E does on a show like that. Let's see what Sami Zayn does. Let's see what Kevin Owens does. The Miz Bryan segments, I love them. Absolutely love them. But like I said, they weren't going to go anywhere necessarily. Like, the end goal was always Daniel Bryan gets rid of The Miz because it's the only way he can beat him. So, I mean, we knew that when it was originally happening. Is he going to trade him? We thought that was kind of like putting him up in that match where like they might lose the Intercontinental title was really, it was worth it to Bryan to make that risk because it might embarrass The Miz. These are the places you could go with it. And I think those segments work better as a proof of concept for Talking Smack as a whole than they did as actual like storytelling that from a start to finish kind of thing. Like, it really made people want to watch Talking Smack and see that happen. And I think you can create more of those moments in the future and kind of, that doesn't always have to be the way it was with The Miz. And I mean, I love The Miz so much, and I'm actually sad that him going to Raw is the most disappointing thing to me. Not for SmackDown so much, but for him, because I am not optimistic.
I think he is just the right type of asshole to do really well on Raw. Like, I think sooner rather than later he'll be the Intercontinental Champion again. And I think he's one of the few mortals that has a chance to become Universal Champion in the next, 2 years.
Yeah, I know. It just needs to come off of Brock first.
Yeah, Roman has to beat Brock. Hopefully it's at SummerSlam, God willing. And then they can have
Mania 34, man. That's going to be it.
I know, but a boy can have a dream, can he? That he doesn't have to, I love Brock. I just want other people to be champion other than Brock at some point in the next year, and it's not going to happen.
Well, that's why the Intercontinental title is probably on Raw now, is because SmackDown did such a good job of rehabbing it. That they're like, oh shit, let's, that's going to be the top title, essentially. It'll be like when Cena had the US title. They're going to try and do that.
Yeah, I don't know. And
who do you think? Let's assume that the people SmackDown got are now part of SmackDown's core show. Don't assume like they're being sent back to Raw this time next year or whatever. Who that they added do you think could be WWE champion on SmackDown?
Only out of the people they added?
Yeah, out of the people they added.
Okay. It depends on what you think the WWE title is now. Because Kevin Owens, in theory, because he's won the Universal title, and now Brock Lesnar has that after Goldberg had it, that, elevates him post-mortem to a different level. But, because to be clear, he was murdered by Goldberg.
He was distracted murdered.
He is still killed.
Distracted murdered.
Still just killed and then buried right on screen.
The WWE World Championship is the WWE title. It is the biggest one. It's the one with all the history. It's got the NWA's history, WCW's history.
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nobody. Not if you're going to treat it like that.
It's the biggest title.
Then, nobody. No, not even Sami Zayn.
You don't think anyone they added is at the level that Bray Wyatt and this iteration of Randy Orton are at?
No.
Dean Ambrose came over with it. You don't think anyone there is on Dean Ambrose's level?
I think that it took a pretty precipitous fall after AJ lost it in terms of... But, I don't think Bray Wyatt I think Nakamura is going to be the next person to win the title. So, if we're going on the same Brock logic, right, that somebody has to be able to beat Brock, I don't see anybody that they brought over beating Randy Orton or beating Nakamura anytime soon. Rusev will never be world champion. I love him with all of my heart.
Not as much as you say you do.
He will never be world champion.
I don't know. I think SmackDown is a place where he could maybe do it.
Big E is not going to be world champion in the next 5 years, I don't think.
That would be a monumentally stupid decision by WWE.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Kevin Owens is the only person I see having a puncher's chance, and I don't think he has a chance. I think right now, they're stuck in this weird thing where, like, AJ Styles is probably going to win it at some point from Nakamura, or Nakamura, like, you can't get on AJ Styles level. No one is on Randy Orton's level in terms of legacy, and Nakamura's just this molten hot, like, person on the show. So I feel like you have to get past those three to really have a chance, and maybe Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn, absolutely no chance in hell, by the way.
Sami's gonna win it off of Kevin at Mania 34.
Oh, honey, no.
Sorry, did I say 34? I meant 38.
So I'll reverse the question on you. Who do you think does? Is it Big E and Rusev and Kevin Owens and Sami?
I mean, Rusev's the one I'm on the fence about. I do think he has. If there's ever going to be a chance for him to do it, it'll be on SmackDown with the show set up the way it is. I don't think he'll be the one, but for the same reason that Bray Wyatt won. I think that's a guy who gets a real reaction, who they plan on having around, who they know is great. And, it might not be the longest reign in the world, but it'll be a reign, It could be his only one, I don't know.
The Undertaker only had the belt for, 2 days the first time, and Kane only had it for 1. So, there are precedents for, short title reigns, like Bray Wyatt had, to kind of put your name on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I don't know, it's just, he's so good. He's so good. And he's another, he's one of their, all media kind of guys where he's everywhere. He's all over WWE in every form. But he is the one I'm the most on the fence about. But I could see Kevin Owens winning it, for sure. If Kevin Owens wins it, it pretty much guarantees that at some point Sami Zayn is going to win it, because can you imagine him winning it off someone who's not Kevin Owens? And I don't know if
not in a million goddamn years.
I don't see it happening, in the next few months or anything. I'm just thinking, if these guys are all on SmackDown and it stays the way it is and they don't push it off, yeah, I can see those guys doing it. And Big E, I don't know, man. I know he's going to win. He's already won a singles title, but, they screwed that up so bad. But they got to get back on that, because the dude is awesome. And, man, it's just... It would be stupid if they didn't have him, at least in that scene, soon. And I agree with you that, right now, Nakamura, Styles, and Orton are, on a different level than these dudes, but... I don't know, they're letting Baron Corbin hang with Styles multiple times. They let Baron Corbin be around Cena. That's a guy... If they're going to let Baron Corbin be put in a position where he's going to be world champion, and it really feels like he will be, before the next Mania at some point, I don't know for how long, I think those other guys are on the same level.
This is not his dream, it's just what he does.
I do want Baron Corbin to feud with Nakamura at some point, just so that he can yell at him to go back to Dragon Gate.
So, I guess this might be the most important question of the entire shakedown.
Shake up.
Sure.
If you don't shake the superstars in the correct direction,
you'll get a big superstar mess.
Never mind.
I'm just going to come out and I'm just going to ask it. Will this move hinder Jinder?
Ugh. Man, that hard body elbow to Finn is probably going to hinder Jinder.
No, it's fine. He's on SmackDown now. He doesn't have to worry about it. He flew away.
Oh, man.
Or just use the power of his glutes to propel him forward.
I know he was going to get embarrassed by Gronk anyway on SmackDown, but I wonder if the severity of the embarrassment increased as a receipt for, fucking forearming Finn in the face and straight up knocking him out.
Yeah, sure, maybe, but also Gronk don't care. Gronk gonna spill everything he needs.
That was great. I love the slow motion camera of Gronk throwing the beer in his face, because it just accentuated how much beer was in the glass, and Jinder's facial reaction to just getting brazzard in the face by beer.
Yeah, it's really terrible. That is one of the worst things in wrestling for me, is when they dump beer or food on somebody. You're just I'm already sweaty. This is terrible. Like, why? If you got food on you when you were sweaty, that seems like the worst possible fate for any person.
I mean, Jinder made this happen. Jinder's the first one. Jinder hindered Rob's drinking at Mania.
That's true. Yeah, you know what? They have a feud building, and I can't wait for them to have the blow off.
Man, Gronkowski is a giant human being.
Oh my god, he's so enormous.
But you see him next to a WWE wrestler, and you're like, oh my god, he's not that big.
Yeah. That's like when you see guys live, you're just like, I don't understand how you're a human being that moves like that, and my head is the size of like one of your biceps. It's a dark world, Mark. It's a dark, dark world.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. But I mean, Gronkowski's huge. Okay. And Jinder's what, 6'5"? Like, you don't think of that. You just think of like Jinder. Jinder's fucking 6'5". He's like a couple inches shorter than Gronkowski and like equally muscled.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of watching hockey, where you see the people on the skates and you're like, how are you this big and moving that beautifully on two blades, as thin as a whisper?
What is that?
It's Canadian. You wouldn't understand.
Wrestling's Canadian. I understand that.
No, wrestling is the most American thing that's ever existed. I don't hear about the.
Tell that to Kevin Owens.
I don't speak French.
Tell that to Brock Lesnar, Canadian citizen. Again, you have so many messages to deliver to Brock Lesnar.
I'm not going anywhere near Canada, and there are some legal reasons why that's the case, but I can't get into them on a podcast.
You don't want Brock Lesnar to be accused of murder? That's fair. That's nice of you.
He has a kid. He has a couple of kids. They like hockey.
Don't talk about his kids.
He's gonna. But he was. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Brock. Sorry, Mr. Brock, sir. So, did you have anything else you wanted to shake down about the shake-up?
No more
on
shaking.
Shaketown Street?
No more shaking. I'm all
Shakespeare. I'm all shook up. All right. So where can they find you in the internet, Mark?
If they want, they can find me on Twitter. Mark_Normandin. That's Mark with a C. You can find my wrestling writing every weekday at CagesideSeats.com. It's where I write wrestling newsletter, which will actually be in newsletter form soon.
Pew pew pew.
We're doing some changes over at SB Nation. And getting some extra newsletter stuff on there, and I don't know, but I think I'm pretty close to the top of the queue for new newsletters. So that's Rude Awakening, and you will be able to sign up for that eventually.
That's beautiful. You can catch me on Twitter at the Nexter. That's TheN1CKSTER. I'm just happy I got that right.
Yeah, don't gloat about the number anymore, because Oscar's coming for you.
Yeah, no, you set me straight on that. You can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Mark, do you have a review, or do I have to come up with it this week?
You should come up with it this week.
We're all shook up.
Awful.
Well, you made your decision in letting me do this.
Yeah,
so
no, it's my fault. I know. Still gonna blame you, though.
You can check us out at soundcloud.com/Rudo Radio. It's RUDORADIO. And I guess if there's nothing left to say, the only thing left to say is bye!